First time for many of the junior women made their way to Cozumel for the World Championships. And a very elite field of 60-plus women. The water temperature was well into the mid-20s, so none of these women would have a chance to even cool down in the water, and the air temperature was well into the mid-30s. The Japanese had the first athletes out of the water, but there you could see a couple of the British athletes and the Canadian Ridney just coming out. It would be a 200-meter run to the transition zone. The athlete everyone was looking for, Taylor Knibb, was not out of the water in the first 25 or 30, so that was a bit of a surprise. Meanwhile, a small group of 7 or 8 athletes made a very early break on this 4-lap, 20-kilometer bike course. And everyone kept the eyes on, looking for Taylor Knibb, who did not make the transition zone before the first 25 or 30 women headed out onto the bike. Anyone who knew Taylor Knibb's biking ability, however, didn't have much of a surprise that she eventually would make it to the front, and there she did. Early on into the middle of the first lap, Taylor Knibb had ridden herself through 25 or 30 other bikers, and amazingly, before the end of the 10-kilometer mark, the very talented American would have herself off solo on the front end of the World Junior Championships. This woman had won a number of races solo. Tertsch from Germany and one of the Swiss athletes would come second and third towards the end of the bike, and then a very large pack of almost 35 athletes would follow about 30 seconds after towards the tail end of the 20-kilometer bike ride in Cozumel. It would be Taylor Knibb off the bike very first, and nobody else would be anywhere in sight. And the woman who had come third in Montreal in a World Cup triathlon just a few weeks before this race, and in fact she had a top 15 finish in Stockholm at a WTS race. Impressive for a junior to be able to race such a tough and difficult course. The rest of the women, however, would come off with about a 40-second deficit, and it would turn into an incredible run for the medals for second, third, and the top 10 places. The French had 2 women sitting into the top 3 off the bike. Carole would be one of those women that everyone would eventually look for, but Taylor Knibb would make her way through the 5-kilometer field and certainly would be the class. She had a sizable lead through most of the race. Tertsch from Germany held second for the majority of the race. Jeong from Korea was sitting in third and fourth through the majority of the race, trying to hang on. One of the Spanish athletes sitting in fourth place, so a great battle for third, fourth, and fifth. But there would be no surprise as everyone's number 1 pick before the day began would finish off with an almost 40-second deficit. Taylor Knibb from the United States would claim gold in Cozumel, and her incredible biking ability would be the superior aspect over the rest of the juniors at the World Championships. Very hot conditions for Knibb, but the medical team did a fantastic job of taking care of all of the athletes, and the real battle would be for third as Tertsch would claim second, and you can see back the Spanish athletes in fourth and fifth. But it would be the first ever medal for Korea as Jeong from Korea would claim the bronze medal. Fatigue showing on the faces of all of these women, but joy in the face and the expression for Taylor Knibb.
That was probably the worst swim of my entire life, and I just had to be patient, I guess, and see where I was at the end of lap 1, and I kind of just moved my way up. And then we had a group of 3 for the second lap, and from laps 1 to 3.5, and then, or 2.5, and then the last lap and a half I was on my own. But it was, if someone told me that that's how the race would have panned out, I would have just laughed.
The first point I wanted to do was swimming fast on the first 200 meters, and I think I did quite good. And the rest of the swim was a bit rough because of the buoys and the current. And the bike was very hard, but I tried to stick with the group, and the run was just awesome. I was so happy that I did not pass out or anything bad happen. Yeah, it was amazing.
It is first time to get the medal and stand on the podium in Korea. She did the best, and she learned a lot and trained a lot to be stand on a podium. This chance will be the good opportunity to express the triathlon in Korea.
Muchas felicidades a las ganadoras. Ladies and gentlemen, our podium placers in the Junior Female World Championship.